Shirley, I'm told that our next guest was practically a neighbor of yours, but you two have never met. Is that true?
She lived in Woodside, I believe, yeah. Same place I live.
This lady visited with us when we had the show in Hawaii, and she's famous for her expressive painting of wide-eyed children. And I want to tell you something. I love her work. I really do. I have one of her paintings. I'm glad she's visiting with us again. She just returned from Europe and happily for us stopped off to see us here in Philadelphia. Here is Margaret Keane. I just wondered, when you meet people like that for the first time, are you constantly looking for subjects?
Well,
Do certain people just impress you when you're shaking their hand?
Not so much older people as children. You know, I'm constantly seeing children that I would like to paint.
Yeah.
And, you know, young girls. That's usually my favorite subjects.
You have been traveling extensively now. Do you paint or sketch when you travel, or when you're on a plane? Can you do things like that when you're on a plane?
Well, sometimes I do sketches. I never take my paint with me. That's too much. But I usually take pen and ink and pencils.
But on an airplane, people would eavesdrop. But would that bother you if they did that?
Oh, a little bit, maybe.
You have a gallery in Sausalito, don't you?
No, not now. I have one in Honolulu.
So
That's
you had
the
one in
only
Sausalito?
Yes. a long
That's where I
time
lived,
ago.
and I saw a lot of pictures around town.
Yes.
of you.
Margaret
I
is-
walked out of a show once like this. I went to see one of the
It's really good. He looks like one of your subjects, doesn't he?
Hello.
Margaret is married to a very nice man who is a sports writer for a Honolulu newspaper, and I read a quote of yours, which I wrote down because it interests me, because I know him well. You said, "He helped me a lot to become less timid and afraid. For a year, I couldn't paint anything at all." Why was that? You couldn't paint for a whole year?
Well, that was after the divorce from Walter Keane, you know, and I really sort of couldn't paint for a while. But then, after I met Dan, my life changed, and then I started painting much more with a bang.
I bought one of Margaret's paintings when I was in Hawaii. My wife, as a matter of fact, she looked at it and figured the whole thing out. It's called To Begin Again, and
Yeah.
it's one of your favorites. Tell the story behind the painting, because I think it's so interesting.
It's a nude painting, and she's kind of in a fetal position. And I painted this during the time when my life was really changing, you know, and I really was starting all over again. And that's why I think I painted it. And I
Mhm.
called it To Begin Again. And it's one of my favorite paintings, and I'm so glad that you bought it.
Thank you. You've painted many celebrities. I think you did Jerry Lewis's whole family
Yes,
with Jerry.
yes.
And you also did Red Skelton, didn't you?
Yes, and I did Red Skelton's 2 children, Valentino and little Richard, about a year before he died.
And Joan Crawford, you
Yes,
painted?
I painted Joan Crawford, and she used the portrait that I did of her. She's standing in front of it on the cover of her new book.
How about you did Liberace, too?
Yes.
Do you like doing famous people, Margaret?
Well, it's fun, yes.
But is that your preference, or is it something you'd rather do other things, I would imagine?
Well, I really prefer just to paint imaginary children, you know, with big eyes. But every once in a while, it's a nice challenge to do a portrait, you know, and I enjoy it.
And when you do
What about
the...
animals? Do you do animals or
Every
kittens or anything?
Yes, I often paint poodles because I have to, and I love them.
Cats have the most beautiful eyes. Oh,
Where did you do Liberace? Did you go to his home?
No, this is when I was a poor, starving artist, and this was in the lobby of the Royal Hawaiian Hotel, and I was sitting at a little easel doing pastels. And Liberace was in town for a concert, and he decided to have his portrait painted. So we were sitting down there in the middle of the lobby, and there must have been about 200 people watching. And some woman said to him, "Mr. Liberace, I think when you're having a portrait done, you should keep your mouth closed," because he was laughing and talking, And he nodded and thanked her, and then in a few minutes he looked over at me and he said, "You know, Margaret, if you have pretty teeth, I think you should show them." So I
Margaret-
did the portrait with a big smile.
With a smile. You brought something very special with you today, and it's, you want to tell what it is?
The surprise?
Yeah, the surprise.
Well, Shirley, you know, ever since I was a little girl, I just adored you, you know, and I had a scrapbook where I put all these pictures of ShirleyTemple in the scrapbook. And it's really a thrill to meet you. And I wanted to do a little drawing for you.
Hi-hat. Oh, this. Oh, fantastic. Isn't that too much? Oh, Shirley, that's that is just simply perfect.
Oh, thank you. It was a great subject.
I don't think I ever could have gotten them that
I'll
big.
tell you, that is marvelous.
Oh, that's low. Is it for me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. That's very, very nice.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
You're
We
welcome.
have some of Margaret Keane's paintings which we'd like to show. Can you join us, lady? Over here. Open. Oh. Margaret, Shirley? Just want us to start over here? Okay.
That's all right.
Where, at the bottom or the top? Can we start at the top?
That painting is called The Watcher, and she's standing on the beach, sort of watching the Mike Douglas show.
This one?
And this one is a little boy, and this is called Jack in the Box. And he's sort of, I think he's starting out on a little journey or something. Sort of a
fantastic.
mysterious, he's looking at the future, sort of.
Were these painted over in Hawaii,
Yes.
Margaret?
Mhm.
Okay, let's move over here to this.
Well, that one is my husband's favorite. It's called The Wild One. And it's, I did it, about 10 years ago, I think.
And these,
It's one of my favorite ones.
and you had a young lady model? for this
No,
one? Or
it's
just, is it somebody out of your?
imaginary
Just
one.
imaginary, huh?
It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
this-
girl.
Look here. Isn't that
Yeah, this is
something?
called The Model, and this is another imaginary one, but it's sort of a composite of several people, actually.
Very lovely. I hope you're seeing it in color because the colors are really something special. Let's do the one on top, shall we? Or the one on the bottom, you want to go? I wanted to finish with that if I could. Let's go to this one. Okay?
Looks like people I know.
That's called Inflated Egos.
Which one is the most inflated?
Well, you know, when I started painting that, it's really, I just wanted to do a stylized, something different with a lot of color, and I was concentrating on the composition. And then when I got through, I just started discovering all these great symbolical things in it. Like they're, you know, inflated, they're stuffed up with pride, and they're...
This can also occur from too much necking, too.
Well, her neck is risen for some occasion, and then their feet are very flimsy, and they really don't have a leg to stand on. See, and they're kind of floating in the air.
That's marvelous.
But
This,
all of that I discovered after I did. I didn't intend it that way.
That's what it's all about, that one.
yeah, definitely what it's all about.
Yeah, thank you. That's a sort of a. I tried to do a Hawaiian mother and child because they're such wonderful people.
They certainly are.
You're just beautiful, Margaret. Thank you very much for being with us again. Margaret Keane. We'll be right back right after this.